Hey guys, okay, here is lesson 2 of science this week. This one will take you less than an hour. This title is Changes in an Ecosystem, okay? So here is our do now. There's a little food web off to the right. Take a look at it. There's producers at the bottom. There's an elk. There's like a big deer. There's a vole, which is a little, I actually think they eat insects, but for this, we'll say they also eat like seeds. A little rodent. Coyote and a gray wolf at the top that eats the coyotes and the elk. They're big hunters. They don't eat little things, they eat big things. Okay, so if the gray wolves disappeared from this ecosystem, how would it affect the number of coyotes, voles, and plants? Think about that for a second. If you took off all those gray wolves, what would happen to the numbers of coyotes? What would happen to the numbers of voles? What happens to the numbers of plants? Go ahead and pause me. Think about that a little bit more. Answer those questions. We'll keep going. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the learning targets. We got some vocab, mostly review. You're going to watch a cool video that actually talks about this exact thing in Yellowstone National Park, which is a national park in the United States. It's in like Montana and Wyoming. It crosses the border of two states. You're going to watch a video. It's one of my favorite videos. I wish I could get to watch it 4 times a day like I usually do. There's some practice questions and an exit ticket. That's it. Our learning target today is I will use a food web diagram to demonstrate, to describe how changes in the biotic and abiotic factors of an ecosystem affect populations in the ecosystem. Okay, so there's a lot there. So we're looking at a food web, and we're going to use that to say, oh, what if this changes? How does that affect the ecosystem? How does that affect these populations, these animals? What about this changes over here? How does that affect the ecosystem? That's what we're looking at today. What happens if things change? We're going to use that diagram to predict what might happen. Okay, so remember this idea of a population. We looked at this before. A population is one group of one type of organism that live together. This is a population of lions. There's a family, a pride of lions living together in, let's say, South Africa. And over here on the other side, not a population, because I see an ostrich, I see a wildebeest, a zebra, I see a giraffe. Those are many different organisms. They all live together, but there's different species, so not a population. Ecosystem, this was the same definition as we used before, same slide. Ecosystem is all the things, living things, and non-living things in an area. They all interact with each other. So we call the living things biotic. Biotic things are living things. Actually, that biotic would be an adjective. So these would be biotic factors, maybe, or living parts of an ecosystem. So what is one biotic factor? Look at this question down here that you can see where you are right now. What is it? Just look around you and give me a biotic factor. What about abiotic factor? These are non-living things in an ecosystem, but they're still really important. Look at the pictures. You got water, dirt, sky, light, clouds, rocks. Still important. Tell me where you're sitting right now. What is one abiotic factor that's just around you right now in your little ecosystem? Okay, so here's the video. I don't know how long the video is. Let me click on it. 3 minutes, 4 minutes, four. Not too long. Super interesting. Um, I want you to read about it. I want you to watch it. Watch these wolves. It basically there were no wolves in this ecosystem, this national park. It's a huge national park. It's huge. For a long time, there were no wolves, and then they introduced the wolves again. Like scientists captured some wolves in like probably in Canada somewhere, and they brought them back and they started letting them go and they started reproducing and the population got bigger and bigger. And this video is just a little bit, 4 minutes, about what happened when we put wolves back, what happened to the ecosystem in this park. And the changes were huge, and it's really cool. And the video's got the music and it's just like really beautiful. So what I want to know is, so before you watch the video, I want to know for two things when you come back. What's one of the biotic factors that the wolves affected, and how did they affect it? And what was an abiotic factor in the ecosystem that the wolves affected when they were reintroduced? They were brought back. Okay, so biotic, abiotic, that's these right here. You're going to watch that and come back and answer it. Okay, so This is from the Do Now. I wanted this because this is a good example, and I do have one more example for the types of questions you're going to answer later. So if gray wolves disappeared, and you can see I kind of deleted those arrows. Gray wolf's gone. Well, now all of a sudden, there's nothing eating the coyotes. So I wrote the number of coyotes would increase. Remember, that means go up, become bigger in number, because there are no predators hunting them. So they're going to eat a bunch of stuff. The number of voles then would maybe decrease, because if there's so many coyotes, they're going to just go crazy and eat all the voles. And then the plants might decrease because of these elk. These elk eat a ton of plants. They're really big, so they eat lots and lots and lots of plants. And usually the wolves would be taking out some of the elk and keeping their populations low. But no wolves hunting the elk means the elk are going to eat tons more plants, and more elk means fewer and fewer plants. So that's my predictions just based on this food web. This is the type of thing I want you to be able to do. I actually changed the size of the arrows just so you can kind of get an idea of that. You don't have to try to do that necessarily. Here's another food web practice. We did one last time. I want you to grab this arrow. I'll throw one in here for you. Let's not make it pink this time. Let's make it blue. Grab this arrow. You can hold control with your pinky, hit C, and then control V will paste it, and you can paste as many as you need and show me all the arrows that you want to show all the connections between the sun, the hawk, the snake, rabbit, mouse, grass, and wildflowers. Okay, so here's one more example, and then I'm going to give you 5 of these to do by yourself. Here's the scenario. Imagine a band of coyotes. I looked that up. A group of coyotes is called a band. Wonder which coyote plays the drums. I don't know. Imagine a band of coyotes was introduced into the ecosystem. How would the coyotes affect the number of owls in the ecosystem, and why? Now, coyotes don't eat owls. Owls live up in trees. Coyotes live down on the ground. I don't think that there are a lot of coyotes catching owls. That doesn't seem, but they can affect the owls. And here's how. Here's my example. If coyotes were introduced to the ecosystem, the number of owls might decrease because the coyotes would eat some of the rabbits and the other rodents that the owls eat, so there's less food for the owl. So I tried to show that in the arrows. So the coyote now is here, and these big blue arrows, they're eating big arrows, showing they're eating all these the rabbits. Looks like maybe a mouse, and another maybe like a shrew or something. And therefore there's less of these. Now these arrows are small, pointing towards the owl. Well, if there's less food available for the owl, there's going to be fewer owls. There's not going to be enough food for everybody. So the coyotes, I think, might affect the owls by making them fewer owls, the number of owls to decrease. Okay, so now you have 5 other ones. Here's one, same ecosystem over here. Heavy rains caused a flood, killing off many of these grasses and the other small producers. Maybe there's some big trees left, but most grasses, small bushes, they're gone. Which other organisms would this affect? If the grasses and small producers died in a flood, it would affect which ones and how? You can say it affect this, it'll affect that. Tell me. What about there's a terrible owl disease? What would happen? I want you to give me 2. First of all, with snakes. If there's a terrible owl disease and most of owls now are dead, how's that going to affect these snakes? And if there's a terrible owl disease, how would it also affect the rodents? Maybe like this mouse down here. So think about the snake and the mouse. Tell me about them both here and here. Number 3, what if the rabbits were taken out? Humans came in, they captured all these rabbits out of this ecosystem for pets. If the rabbits were taken out, I want you to choose 2, your choice, choose anything. Choose plants, choose the crickets, choose the snakes, choose the owls, etc. Give me 2 other things that would affect. It doesn't have to be direct, but it can be because of this, and therefore it'll also increase this or decrease this over here. Number 4, what if humans came in, we cut down all the trees. We left that one in the back, you see the picture. How will this affect? Give me 2 organisms. Pick easy ones, that's fine. Pick a hard one, challenge yourself. Think about how it might affect something you wouldn't expect it to affect, but it will. If everything's interacting, if you make a big change like cutting down all the trees, it'll affect everything. So pick 2, explain how. And then I want you to come up with your own. So now I have introduced coyotes, owl disease, human logging. I didn't put rabbit pets. That's fine. add to that list. So I want you to type in 3 more things here. What other things could disturb, disrupt, bother, change in an ecosystem? Think about other natural disasters, other things that could happen with animals. Think about what humans love to do. We love to mess up things all the time. So what else could humans do to screw up this ecosystem? So list 3. Then I want you to choose one that you listed and tell me how it affects something. So you're actually coming up with the scenario and the how it would affect one of the organisms of your choice. Okay, so there's 5. Then you have an exit ticket. It's an exit ticket quiz. I think it is exactly 4 questions. If you did everything on here, I expect you guys to be getting 3s or 4s for sure. When I open the quiz results and I see people are getting 1s, and I go, oh, how did that happen? And I go back and I see, oh, they did the do now, and they skipped everything else, and they went to the exit ticket and they got a 1. I'm so surprised that if they skipped all the work, that you got a 1. I'm not surprised. So make sure you do this last. Make sure you do all the work beforehand, and then take the exit ticket quiz. And then turn in your slides so I know that they're done, okay? Thank you guys. We only have 1 more week. So if you're doing this now, next week is kind of our last full week of school. After that, we'll have like some kind of reflection activity and things like that. We'll do a knowledge bowl. Stay tuned for that. We're going to try to get, Miss Beatty and I are going to try to get as many 7th graders Zooming and competing together at the same time. It's going to be really fun. But yeah, you guys, we're getting down to the end. This is great. I hope that you and your families are staying safe. Hope that you're washing your hands. Hope that you can turn the video games off long enough to get some science done or some language arts and history, anything. Hope you're reading. Hope you're taking care of each other. Take care.